All right. Hey, everyone. This is Rudy. Hey, I wanted to ask you guys a question. What do you guys think would happen to a young man who God created, a good-looking young man, gave him a gift of articulate speech, gave him a higher than average intelligence, and not only that, but put a heart of courage inside him that is just immeasurable. So he has courage, boldness. He has articulate speech, intelligence, fairly good-looking young man, able to draw large crowds and talk about liberty, similar to the same vein as our founding fathers that started this great country that we all live in today. What do you think would happen to a young man like that if he showed up in the year 2000, say in the spirit of Andrew Jackson, that fought the banks and the Federal Reserve, stood up for the Second Amendment, started his own militia? What do you think would happen to a man like that who showed up in the year 2000? Well, it just so happens with our tyrannical government, they would frame him, set him up with government informants, and then they would throw his butt in worse than Supermax prison, and they would torture him where he wouldn't be able to communicate with anyone else for several years. So he's in prison for 26 years on set up government charges with government informants that threatened his own life if he didn't go along with their violent plans. But let me tell you something. When you guys listen to Schaeffer Cox's speech, if it's a little shocking, some of the things that he says, that if government threatens your own life or they threaten your liberty, how you should retaliate, let me remind you guys of some words from our own founders. Let me read this one from these two from Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson said, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure." Hey, you guys going to throw Thomas Jefferson in CMU worse than Supermax prison and torture him? Let me tell you what else Thomas Jefferson said. "What country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms," declared Jefferson. My goodness, you think Jefferson would be considered a domestic terrorist today? Let me tell you what our own Declaration of Independence says, in case you've forgotten. We have a friend named Pastor Stefan Broden who said this on Dallas TV show when the news reporter went out to interview him, and they considered Pastor Stefan Broden a domestic terrorist, but all he was doing was quoting the Declaration of Independence. Pastor Stefan Broden quoted this portion. He said, "But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is not only their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security." Hey, do you guys think we're at a point to throw off such government? Do you consider it your duty to throw off such government? Tyrannical government run by reprobate, degenerate, absolute God-haters that want to put you and I in tyranny, are performing false flags, lying to us left and right, poisoning our water, put up the Federal Reserve to steal billions of dollars from our manual labor and our intellectual labor. They've stolen the fruits of the American people's labor by the fiat currency of the Federal Reserve. If you don't understand how that works, you need to buy a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin to understand that the Federal Reserve is the worst, most evil institution on this planet and is destroying and robbing from you every single day. Let's remind ourselves of Patrick Henry speech. He gave a "Give me liberty or give me death" speech. I suggest you guys go remind yourself what Patrick Henry said. And Thomas Paine, who I do not like because he's a deist, but even he said, "It is the duty of the patriot to protect his country from its government." And then last but not least, thank God for men like Ken Hovind, who did not compromise through 9 years of prison, who just sat there in prison, trusted in God, and God worked a mighty miracle through many vessels that stood up and proclaimed the truth about Ken Hovind's case. Let me tell you something. A lot of people say, well, thank goodness for the lawyers that did a legal maneuver to get Ken Hovind out of prison. A lot of people will say, thank goodness for that one juror who held out and didn't vote guilty, but that one juror, Don Camacho, who had some good sense. I say praise God for both of them, but I say also praise God for the many vessels who allowed themselves to be used as Gideon's army. The many vessels who would not compromise to this world, who would not be ashamed of Ken Hovind in an orange jumpsuit in prison, who actually saw through the government BS and lies and said, we don't believe this man is guilty. We're going to come to the courthouse. We're going to demonstrate. We're going to support. We're going to tell our friends about Ken Hovind, and we're going to raise enough stink that the government is scared. They feared the people. They're not going to put Ken Hovind in prison for the rest of his life, because there would be an uprising of people if they decided to make that decision. And Judge Margaret Casey Rogers and Tiffany Hope Eggers and IRS agent Scott Snyder got scared to death to put this man in prison for the rest of his life. Let me tell you something. There is the same set of evil bastards that's going on with Schaeffer Cox. The prosecutor's name is Crocky. S-K-R-O-C-K-I, I believe. And then you have a judge that was basically deaf and senile. His name was, I forget his name right now, but I'll get all these players in my head eventually. I'm still going through the trial transcripts and putting all the players in my head. And then you also have Karen Loeffler, the U.S. Attorney for Alaska. And Karen Loeffler, I think, supervised this whole thing. Not only that, but she probably had something to do with the approval of putting Schaeffer Cox in CMU prison. Do you guys even know what CMU prison is? When I say that word, it just goes in your head and goes out the other, and you don't even investigate it. We have secret CIA torture prisons in America. One's in Marion, Illinois, and the other one is in, my goodness, where is it? Indiana? There's another one in Indiana, and I can't remember where it is right now. Well, go look it up. CMU prisons. There's 2 of them on American soil. My brain is failing me right now. I don't claim to be the most brainiest person in the world. I just got a loud mouth. But I do speak the truth, and I will not back down from these evil bastards. I want to play you guys a little clip, because even Ken Hovind is aware that they're targeting Schaeffer Cox, and praise God that Ken Hovind is bold enough to say something about it. And if Ken Hovind is bold enough to say something about it, why ain't you investigating Schaeffer Cox? He's got a website called freeschaeffercox.com, and I'm uploading videos every single day about Schaeffer Cox. But let's listen to what Ken Hovind has to say.
Prepared, and this is such a heaven on earth right here. God has been really good. There's a guy named Schaeffer Cox who is a similar situation to what I had, persecution for his religious beliefs, trying to shut him up. Go to Rudy Davis's YouTube channel, which is Lone Star 1776, and check out what's happening with Schaeffer Cox. A whole lot of people, like thousands of people, contacted their congressman and everybody about what happened to Ken Hovind, and they should continue to do that. But the same thing's happening to Schaeffer Cox, so go to Lone Star 1776, and please help with that situation if you're good.
All right. Hey, guys. Hey, Kent, if you're listening, brother, thank you. Thank you, brother. You are a blessing. You are a huge inspiration. You did not compromise. And thank you for speaking out about Schaeffer Cox. And if Ken Hovind can speak out about Schaeffer Cox, why ain't you? Let me ask you something. I received a letter from Schaeffer Cox, and he told me he's being tortured. You guys need to go watch a 1-hour speech. It's given in Montana. It's a 1 hour and 41-minute speech. It's called Reclaiming Liberty. Schaeffer Cox gave a fiery speech to the American public about reclaiming liberty and throwing off these tyrants who's actually got control of our government. And that speech was going to propel Schaeffer Cox into a political firestorm where he was going to be go nationwide. But the Obama administration and Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder, the Department of Justice, they squashed him as a political adversary. And they set him up on conspiracy to commit murder charges of federal officials, which is absolute ridiculous. I'm reading the trial transcripts. It's the same thing they did to Ken Hovind. They set up an innocent man with Ken Hovind. They set up an innocent man with Schaeffer Cox. And even if he had fiery speech, which our founders did, and let's say he broke a few weapons charges. I don't know that he did. I'm still investigating. That's not the same thing as conspiracy to murder. Do you know that when I say if somebody comes and draws a gun on me, even if they're wearing a badge, I got a right to defend myself and stop them by any means necessary, even if it means pulling a gun back on them if I feel my life is threatened? Do you know that's not murder? That means if I feel my life is threatened, I have the right to take action. That's all Schaeffer Cox said over and over again, and he gave fiery speeches. But that doesn't mean he had a premeditated plan to go murder anybody. There's not even a victim. There's not even a victim, and yet he's in CMU Supermax prison that shut him up and killed his freedom of speech. And nobody's even dead. And he didn't even plan to go kill anybody. He was trying to get out of the country because the government agents were threatening his life. Listen, if you guys can go to sleep at night knowing they're torturing Schaeffer Cox in CMU prison, then I don't consider you a friend. I don't consider you having the same moral and ethical makeup that God has put in righteous people. And I'm not asking that you do anything that's all that great. I'm just asking that you tell your friends, investigate, make a YouTube statement, make a public statement, give a note to your preacher, call your congressman. You don't have to go out with a sign and protest Karen Loeffler. We're going to try to do that, and we're going to call her out. But at least support. If, like Ken Hovind said, if you can't fire the gun, at least supply the bullets.